behind. So resilience, as kind of like definition of it, is about the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or toughness. Or that's what these guys are here for. These are my resilience things that, when we get knocked down, we get back up again. Doesn't matter what happens, we get back up again. And that's been my experience. That's what I've had to do. I'm not sure if I could have got very much lower than I got myself. But resilience seems to be this thing for me that it's okay to fail, that it's okay and it's actually welcome. And I know that's been touched on by some of the other speakers, that we can be okay with being flawed. We can be okay with making mistakes. We can be okay with getting things wrong. It's not so much about what happens, but it's how we respond to what happens. And this resilience thing of just being okay with that process, and that it doesn't mean that we're actually any less. It's kind of like this state of celebration that if I've failed at something, then I can congratulate myself because I have attempted something that is difficult. I have taken myself out of my comfort zone. So we'll dip in a little bit more about resilience, and the idea of empowerment, the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life. And I don't quite like that bit so much. What feels better for me is not so much about in controlling one's life, but in controlling how we respond to what happens in life. Because, essentially we don't have control over lots of things that happen. I didn't have control over the fact that my mum died. I didn't have control over the fact that my stepmother was the way that she was. But what we do have control over is how we respond to the things that happen. We can have an automatic kind of reaction, knee-jerk reaction, or we can do the sort of more mindful approach and pause. This has happened. How do I choose to respond? And however we choose to respond will determine what the outcome is and where we go in our lives. So that's kind of like what empowerment's about. I don't believe that you can empower anybody without their consent. You can support them and you can facilitate their journey to empowerment. But you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So I would never say that I empower people, but what I aim to do is create the right conditions to empower them. And I'm going to share a little bit about what I feel seem to be some of those prime conditions, really.